This is the Parramatta Podcast, proudly brought to you by major sponsor Jack's Pale Ale, exclusively available at Parramatta Eels Club, Shannon Cooney from Glenmore Park Realty, Beau Cook from Loan Market, BTZD, the official apparel partner of the Parramatta Podcast, and the Parramatta Times, the official media partner of the Parramatta Podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Para Cave Podcast. And now over to your host, Troy Warner, broadcasting live from the world-famous Para Cave.
And yes, hello and welcome back to another cracking episode of the Para Cave Podcast. Troy Warner here, and we are back into the interview-style podcast today, and we're going back to the fan series. So I've got a massive fan of rugby league, and in particular the club that I love, the Parramatta Eels, and his name is Anton Nakic. Now, he is a massive Parramatta Eels fan. I've been to a couple of games with him, and I've been to a Parramatta Eels function with him, and he just loves the game of rugby league. Played the game of rugby league as a youngster as well, which we talk about in the podcast. We also talk about all things Parramatta as well, how he ended up supporting the Parramatta Eels and some moments during his time of supporting them, and some other things as well. So a very interesting conversation as well, recorded in the Para Cave as well. So that was also good. So I appreciate Anton for spending the time to come out to the Para Cave and do the interview as well. So I hope you guys enjoy it. It's a bit of a look through a fan's eyes of supporting a rugby league team, something that I love talking about and hearing fan stories of rugby league supporting their team in the greatest game of all. So, you know, we all hear the interviews with players and ex-players and the like, and journalists and celebrities and the like, but to hear the stories of the real fans, the real hardcore general rugby league fans, and it doesn't even have to be a Parramatta Eels fan. It can be a fan of rugby league from another club as well, because I love hearing about stories about other clubs and their support for their team. So this one with Anton is a very enjoyable chat, and it's like two mates talking about Parramatta. So I hope you really enjoy it. And of course, this wouldn't be at all possible without the help of the sponsors, which you heard at the top of the show. Major sponsor Jack's Pale Ale, exclusively available at Parramatta Eels Club, Beau Cook from Loan Market, Shannon Cooney from Glenmore Park Realty, BTZD Teamwear, the official apparel sponsor of the Para Cave Podcast, and the Parramatta Times, the official media partner of the Para Cave Podcast. More details about those sponsors and the Para Cave Podcast merchandise after the chat with Anton. So enough of me talking. You want to get into the interview, obviously. So as Hindy says,
get a beer, coffee, whatever you want.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy, and let's get straight into it.
Hi, my name is Anton Nakic, and I'm here with Troy on the Para Cave Podcast. I'm about to have a chat with Troy about my love for the Parramatta Eels.
And as you heard from his intro, my guest today on the Para Cave Podcast is a massive rugby league fan and also a fan of the Parramatta Eels, the club that I love. And he's joined me today here live in the Para Cave for a chat, which is great, so I really appreciate that. Welcome to the Para Cave Podcast, Mr. Anton Nakic.
Thanks, Troy.
Not a problem. Thank you for joining me, and always good to hear a story about a rugby league fan's support for their club, and just so happens that it's the same club that I support, the Parramatta Eels. So let's go back to, when did it all start? How did you start with rugby league and supporting the Parramatta Eels?
Well, I was actually just before my 10th birthday. I grew up I was born here, but my parents, they came here from Croatia, and Mum was great. She didn't mind watching the footy on the telly, but the old man was a stubborn old wog, and you don't want to watching that Aussie shit, and so it was around about in the early 82 season, he finally gave in and started letting us watch the footy and watch the cricket, and actually started playing footy that year for DLSL Marrickville.
Okay.
Under 10s in 1982. But I needed a team. Because everyone at school, my mates, and they all had footy teams, and because I wasn't allowed to watch it, I didn't know what was going on, who was who in the zoo. And I found out, Parra just won the comp for the first time like the year before, so I thought, righto, I'll follow them. And that's how it's been since then.
Ah, nice. You played rugby league. What position and how did you go as a rugby league player?
I was started off in the front row because I was always tall for my age, and then when I got to from 13s, we had some real big boppers, and I had a bit of speed on me too, so the coach threw me out in the centres.
Okay.
So 13s to 15s I played in the centres, and then in the off season I just left high school and I started working, and because I had money in my pocket, and I started going every smoko, every lunch. There was hamburgers and bottles of Coke and that. And we used to have weigh-ins. At the end of the 15s, I weighed 85 kilos. But at the beginning of the year, at the end of the year, we used to have weigh-ins. So at the end of the 15s, I weighed 85. Then when I came back in the off-season for the 16s in February, I was 105.
Yeah, wow.
And so I put on 20 Ks, and the coach goes, "You're not in the centres this year." Back into the front row. And that's where I played my last 2 years, 16s and 17s in the front row. Eventually work took over, and I played Matthews for West Lidcombe, because there was two Wests then, because at that time the Maggies moved to Campbelltown, so they had they were West's white jerseys, black fee, and I was at Lidcombe with the black jerseys and the white fee. And by the time the 17s came around, a lot of guys were just started working, driving cars, getting girlfriends. The footy took a back seat,
okay.
and I was getting a few knee injuries, and I knew I wasn't gonna go all the way. So and I just started working, So I thought better stick to work, So that was it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, fair enough. Well, it was a pretty handy time to start supporting the Eels. As you said, 81 they won the comp, their first one of the three-peat. 82. Who were some of your favourite players back in the day then?
Eric Grove.
Yeah.
I love them all, but when we were in year 7, we did silkscreen printing. So you could do whatever you want on your t-shirts and that. And what I did was Eric Grove power with 2 thunderbolts down the side. I just loved the guy, because we believe it. Another reason why I followed Parra too was I lived at Campsie back then, and that was where I lived was less than a 10-minute walk from Belmore Sports Ground. So they happened to move to Belmore in 82.
That's right. Yeah, perfect.
You know what I mean? So, and I swear to God, he was the only player that whenever he got the ball, you had to stand up because you couldn't see, because everyone in front of you stood up.
Yeah.
You had to. That was the impact the guy had. Every time you got the ball, something's going to happen with Eric Grove. And everyone just stood up and waited for it. And more often than not, he'd do it.
Yeah.
It was an awesome player.
Have you got a favourite Eric Grove try from over the years? There's so many classics.
The one that a lot of people go on about was the one in the semi-final against the Dogs in 83. That's the one that sticks out to me, because, I couldn't believe it at the time as well, just awesome.
Yeah, it certainly is. I think his favourite try is the week before against St George, where he scored the try to win the game to get Parramatta into the grand final.
No, that's the year after.
Oh, sorry. Yes, the year after. Year after. Yeah, sorry. How could I not know that one? But yeah, favourite try of his is
that one.
Yeah, because that actually got Parramatta into the grand final.
I remember that was nail-biting stuff, because that's when I thought, we're not going to win. We're going to lose. And all of a sudden, bang. In for them, fourth grand final in a row, yeah. Yeah,
certainly was on the end of a dynamic backline back in the day. And I think, was it 1983, 4? 7 6 of the 7 backline for New South Wales with Parramatta players.
83, I think it was game 2 in the State of Origin. Yeah, but that only happened because Chris Anderson and someone else got injured, and that enabled an extra 2 power players to get into the back line. And only the fullback was Marty Gurr from Easts. That was it. The rest of the back line was Parramatta.
Yeah, certainly phenomenal.
With
phenomenal.
Price
Pricey
is
as
in
well.
the second row, and Stan Jerd was on the bench, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so I mean, you'll never see anything like that again. That amount of players in a back line for an Origin team. I mean, we do see the numbers of players in an Origin team from one club, but not in a back line like that. Which of the, obviously 81, 82, 83 and 86, which of the grand final victories is your favourite? And did you get to any of the grand final victories?
No, I didn't get to go to any of them. Like I was 14 when they won in '86. I was going to all the games at the sports ground, and that mainly because I played footy for the school. You got a pass.
Oh yes, yeah, I remember those.
And you could go to any suburban ground, any game, except you can't go to semis. You can't go to State of Origins, Test matches, whatever. So, and we didn't have much money, and that would have meant travelling into town and getting, those tickets were more expensive than I remember it used to cost 40 cents. Me and my 2 brothers, we used to get $2 off my mum, and that'll get us into the ground. This is '83.
Yeah.
40 cents each to get in, and we had 60 cents left over for lollies and whatever, Back then it went a lot further than what it would these days, but yeah. But then, more often than not, we tried to hold on to that money because we'd do a few laps because there always used to be a hole in the fence somewhere, and we used to creep in through there. We've done that a few times.
It's pretty handy that Parramatta fans burnt down the stadium in '81. Then, isn't it? That having Belmore Sports Ground as a home ground for 5 years.
They didn't burn the ground down. If you go back into the photos, it was all just grassland. It was just one little rickety old stand. They used to sway in the wind, and it'd been there since 1920 something or whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah. They just burnt that down and. So they needed a home ground, and so, I don't know why they chose Belmore, but I was just blessed because it was just up the road from my house, just when I started following them too, so, yeah.
It's one ground I haven't been to, Belmore Sports Ground.
Really?
I haven't watched a game there.
I've been to that ground more than any other ground, really. Or maybe I've been a particular member with Para. The thing was, because I love footy so much, I used to go there every week. I watch Canterbury one week, then I watch Para the next week. Canterbury one, then Para the next. Sometimes you watch Parramatta 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah,
they play Belmore at home. They play the Dogs away, which is Belmore. Then play at home again. So, and when you're a kid, I used to go every week. And I loved it. So until they went back home again to 80 and 86. So 85, 84, 83, 82. There's a few games. What's that? 80 odd games, mate.
Yeah, definitely.
In those 4 seasons.
For sure. What did you make it to the opening of the new stadium at Parramatta?
Yes, I was there.
What were your memories of that opening day?
Nervous because if you go back through Para's games against the Tigers, they're always tight, or they win, And I thought, dude, I was just nervous about something about the Tigers, And I was just blown off the park. They just, what was it, 51-6 or something.
Oh, yeah, that's the Combank Stadium. What about Parramatta Stadium back in the day?
86?
Yeah, 86.
No, I was playing a game that day. I couldn't make it. We were actually playing a trial match. And the coach giving us a lift back home. I brought my footy. So put the footy on in the car when we was giving us a lift back home. And again, that was because Saints were the runners-up the year before. And I thought, it's going to be a tough game. I didn't expect that scoreline, 36-6, That was... a bit broom off the park. Good homecoming.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, speaking of those players in that era, your Prices, your Kennys, your Sterlings, Croner, Dellas, Growth. There's always a massive immortal debate going on every year in rugby league and all the time from fans and media. What are your thoughts about a Parramatta player being an immortal of rugby league? Do you think there should be one, and who do you think it should be?
Probably Price.
Yeah?
Because of the fact that people were actually terrified of him. He was an animal in defence, and they called him Mr. Perpetual Motion. He went 100 miles an hour from go to woe, you know, from the beginning to the end. And he represented Australia in 2 codes. He played 8 tests for the Wallabies and then 22 tests for the Kangaroos. And always the first guy picked, you know. That tells you something, you know. So
Captain
I reckon
as well of Australia?
No, he didn't. He never captained.
No.
This is what I heard. They never mentioned the player, but I got a few footy books and that, and they said there was a story at the end of the '82 Kangaroo tour. They were at a function in France, and they were serving wine, and one particular player, they said, who was rumoured to be the next captain, kept demanding beer, and they never had beer. They're at some posh place.
Okay.
And he didn't get any beer, so he got the wine glass and he threw it against the floor, and a piece ended up slicing the foot of some dignitary, the wife of some dignitary there, and blood was everywhere, and apparently the officials he was stamped never to captain. Rumours are that it was supposed to be Price. I'm not sure. They haven't said who the name was.
That's interesting. I've never heard
because
that one before.
because Quillich was 82, and they wanted to pass on to someone else at the following year. So I think Quillich coached captain 83 too against the Kiwis at one. Yeah. But that's what I heard. So probably he kept his spot, but he didn't get the captaincy.
Okay, I've never heard that story before. If I ever catch up with Pricey again, I'll have to ask him about that one.
Ask him about that incident, because they never mentioned, like I said, they never mentioned the guy's name, but for some reason his name came to me, you know. So, and he would have been probably next in line to captain Australia after Quillich. So that's my opinion anyway.
Yeah, he certainly probably turned around Parramatta from when he got there from the Wallabies, because I think he played in every grand final that Parramatta's been in, and certainly made them, I guess, make grand finals, make finals, and win them as well.
He was there 11 years, 7 grand finals, and only missed the semis once. And that was in 1980, and I think he missed a big chunk of that year through suspension or injury. I can't remember.
Yeah, no, he's definitely a legend of rugby league. Which one of the grand final victories is your favourite?
83 and 86, because I can't separate them, because I remember both times I was shitting myself. Manly were smoking hot favourites. They were minor premiers by 8 points. They flogged everyone except us. I'm sure that we beat them both times that year. But then come the major semi, they beat us 19-10. And I was only 11, but I just saw, you know, they had, I think, 11 internationals in that side, you know. I honestly thought that we weren't going to win. And as they ended up winning 18-6, and 86 too, excuse me, Dogs were a tough side, you know, and they'd won the 2 years before. And I just had the worrying feeling, like, you know, it's going to be a tough one. We might lose this one, but they held out, and especially in the last 5 minutes, and they had no ball. They just seemed to be defending, and they did well. I don't know.
What about on the flip side, the disappointment of grand final losses?
84.
Yeah?
Yeah, that was because I started going to Belmore Boys High School that year, and Warren Ryan, who happened to be the Dogs coach, he was our sportsmaster.
Okay.
And every Arab and his camel at that school went for the Dogs, you know. I was the only one, you know, there that followed Para. So
that would have been difficult?
No, it wasn't difficult. Yeah, just your mates, you
the
know.
Banter.
Just that's it. That's all it was, you know. And but, you know, Cronin had 2 shots that day, and he missed them both, and the score ended up being 6-4, you know. So it just makes you wonder, you know, could have had 4 in a row, but that one actually still burns me. And then 2001 burns me as well. We were smoking hot favourites again, and I don't know what happened that day. I don't remember the second half. I was that drunk. I was at a mate's place at a barbecue. I was throwing them down in despair, you know. And when I woke up, I found out the score was a 6-point difference. I ended up scoring in the last 15 minutes, all their points or whatever. So, what do you do?
Yeah, that was my
It's tough being a Para supporter.
Yeah, tell me about it, and the thousands that are listening. Definitely tough being a Para fan. That was my first live grand final of Parramatta. Didn't go to 2009. obviously went 2022, but yeah, 2001. That's a major.
I had kind of a mixed feeling in '09. I was I know they came from 8th spot and they done well to go down to the mighty Melbourne team by 7, but then a couple of months later, when who was it? Was it Gallup? Who was in charge back then?
Yeah, I think it might have been.
I was at the club and I saw what's Gallup, like he looked like something big, you know. Turn it up. And there he was stripping Melbourne of the premiership and all points for that year, you know. And I started thinking, oh, they're going to give it to us, you know. But then I thought, it's kind of like a cheap way. A lot of people were saying, well, in the Olympics, if the gold medal winner gets busted with drugs, they give the person who got silver ends up getting gold and so on. But no, they didn't end up. Those two premierships they took off them, they didn't give them to Para and Manly.
Yeah, no, it's not really the same, is it? It's not.
No, it was kind of like a cheap way of winning. Yeah, I know. Yeah,
can't celebrate it and you can't enjoy it.
All you can say is, well, you got beat by cheaters, so it's I don't know, if anything, a moral victory, if that, you know.
Well, speaking of Melbourne, is there a team in the competition that when Parramatta plays them, you love to beat? Is there a team in the competition that whenever
Dogs.
the draw comes out, that's the team that you want to beat?
Dogs, only because it goes all the way back to, you know, when I was a kid and growing up in the area and then going to school and Ryan was there. And so I've always had that back, you know, with the Dogs. Manly's up there just because everyone hates them. But it's always good to beat Melbourne and Brisbane, mainly because they've always been good, mate, really. Most of their existence, they've always had top gun sides, you know. Like Melbourne won the comp in their second year, you know. Who does that?
Yeah.
You know? Jeez.
I'm not too sure if the Dolphins can do that next year, but
Nah.
that was certainly amazing.
They started off well this year, but I suppose the weekly grind got to them, and you know. But they had a few good wins.
Yeah, definitely.
They're well away from the bottom half of the ladder. You know?
Oh, yeah,
so that's
yeah.
good.
A lot of people thought they were going to be down the bottom, but it wasn't to be. Speaking of games, is there a favourite game that stands out? Obviously, the grand finals are right up there, but is there a game, a regular like club game or something that really stands out for you that you really love that game?
Oh,
that either you were at or watched?
I wish you'd asked me that earlier so I could think. I don't want to have any dead air, like just going back.
No, that's all right. Put that in the memory bank, and then
right.
we'll come back to that one. Right. What about? Well, it could probably tie it on to that one as well. Our least favourite game as well. Is that easier?
Yeah, definitely. The Cowboys game at Parramatta Stadium, where the Cowboys it was a night game. I can't remember Para's lead. Like they had like a 20-something point lead. And then the Cowboys just try after try after try after try. And I think it was 2015. 15, yes. I was a season ticket holder. And the girl that I was with, once the Cowboys hit the lead, she got up and left, you know. Come on, we're going. She was my lift. And one thing I never did, because it shows like you're giving up on your team when you leave before the full-time siren. Yep. And I wouldn't go. And then she got to the back of the grandstand and then she's texting me and ringing me, I'm leaving, you know. And I had to leave and did the walk of shame, you know. And our seats are right up the front, up near the fence, so you had to walk up and, you know.
Yeah, no, I remember the game.
I hate that, yeah.
I remember the game that you're talking about. I actually played in a charity touch football game before the game. And yeah, Gavin Cooper, he scored 3 tries in. Did he? 3 tries in 5 minutes or something ridiculous?
I just remember
like
Parrot kicked off, and within that set of 6 they scored. Parrot kicked off again. They just never had the ball. Cowboys just kept scoring. I remember Radradra. I think he scored a double, and I think they were 28-6 or whatever. I can't remember the score. It was a big lead.
Yeah.
No way, and I just couldn't believe they just disappeared right in front of my eyes. Yeah.
Yeah. And I also agree with you too. I never leave the game after before full time, no no matter how bad the loss is, or if you're winning, obviously you're going to stay there if you're winning. But no matter how bad the loss is, I always stay until full time because you never know what can happen previous to that. Is there? You say you've got a lot of footy books at home. Is there a lot of? Is there a merchandise memorabilia piece that stands out for you of Parramatta that you have that you love?
No, not really. I used to like looking around here. I used to be an avid collector back then when I was a kid / teenager. I used to buy all the big leagues and the rugby league weeks, and I cut out all the posters. And if you walked in my bedroom when I was 14, I swear to God. Up from the ceiling down, just all the way around my room was just posters, team photos and player posters. You know, I just loved the game, and I didn't care. They weren't Parramatta; they were everyone. You know what I mean? I had them all up there. You know, and I just loved the game. And then I don't know when I was about 16 or something, I folded them up, and I had them in boxes in the garage. All my posters, my big leagues, rugby league weeks. And one day I got home from work and my boxes were gone. And the old lady, in her infinite wisdom, what do you need that shit for? Decided to, and apparently went out a couple of weeks beforehand. I didn't know that she'd done it. Oh. So if I'd known, I would have gone straight out in the bin and pulled them out. But no. Yeah. And there was a few my team photos from when I was playing. They were in there. So it's all all gone.
That was like me with footy cards. I used to have ice cream containers full of them, and had I have had the wisdom then of what footy cards are worth now, if you keep them in good condition, then I would have kept them all. I had hundreds, had heaps, and as I said, if I would have had the wisdom then and kept them now, who knows what they'd be worth. What about a favourite Parramatta Eels jersey? Is there a favourite one that stands out for you that you like?
For some reason, I like the 80s one. The four stripes down the arms and the shorts and the socks. I don't know. I like that. Maybe I don't know why. They've changed so many over the years, but that one I like. But no one wears that really anymore these days. And
Parramatta are pretty synonymous with stripes, aren't they? Like Parramatta and stripes go together, I think.
Yeah, I like that one. You know. Yeah. Like the one you got Hindy wearing there, kind of like on the fridge there. Like that's a bit more recent, newer version. But the one next to him, that's the one I like. Strength in depth.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's the jersey there.
Yeah. Certainly. Yeah, I think that's the 81.
Yeah. Retro.
Yeah, 82, 83 actually. I think jersey there with Hindy. Certainly a great player, Hindy, Nathan Imarsh, one of my favourites. Definitely a club legend. What about away games? What have been your favourite away games that you've been to? Is there one that stands out?
One. I was at Shark Park. The year escapes me, but it was just like within the last, I think, 3 years. Maybe you can help me. The Sharks built up a massive lead. I think in the last 10 minutes, Parra scored 3 tries. And the last one on the bell, Moses went in the corner, and he had the kick to tie the game, and he missed it. I can't remember what year it was. But I
think that might have been 2022, was it?
No. Just
21.
You know when Robert Tomasevic went to his wedding.
Yeah.
I was at the game. I was with him at the game, so I'm sure he wasn't married then. So it would have been whatever that year was, 20 or 21, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
That game.
Okay. Yeah.
Because that game looked lost, and it gave first Jennings, then the front rower, blonde guy or baldy guy, I forget his name now. He scored, and then Moses scored. And I thought, here we go, because we're sitting in there, we're surrounded by Sharks fans. I could just hear their bullshit all game, you know what I mean? You can't say nothing, And when Moses went over, me and Robert just jumped up,
Yeah,
I like that, Well, even though we lost, like that one, like, for excitement, like went down to the bell, But that one That one comes to mind. I can't remember. I went to Bronco Stadium once, Suncorp once. That was in August 16, and I stayed at a friend's place, and Bevan French scored the first try, and after that, it was just I remember Milford just killing us that day, and that day ended up being 46-10 or something. That was a bad day, but I heard stories about Bronco supporters and how they're arrogant or whatever this and that. Where I sat, everyone was well behaved. They was sitting chatting with the guy next to me, and I didn't see any unruliness that day. They were all okay. Maybe because they won.
Yeah, it's always hard going on a away trip and then losing the game. It sort of makes you think, oh, why did I come away for the game?
Because I've kind of got like a bucket list. I want to go to every ground, and I have been to every ground except Far North Queensland, Melbourne, and the Warriors across the ditch. So
Okay.
I wanted to go, and when a mate of mine offered me a place to stay for the week, let's go. I'll tick that off my list, So I've only got 3 more grounds to go to tick them all off.
Well, I think you and I are on the same sort of wavelength because, I want to go to try and get to every ground as well.
I thought you would have.
2018, I managed to get to every home and away game for Parramatta, but like yourself, I haven't been across to New Zealand. I haven't been to Belmore Sports Ground. I'm just trying to think what else I haven't been to, where else I haven't been to. I haven't been to the new Townsville Stadium. Where else is there that I haven't been to? I can't really...
I never went to Henson Park, Newtown's home ground, but when we were under 10s, we played our grand final there against Elwood Saints. I was with De La Salle Mariful, and we lost 8-3. And back in 1982, if you remember, it was the last year for 3-point tries. So, we lost 2 tries to 1. We played on the Henson Park, and John Chicka Ferguson handed the trophy to the winners, and he shook all our hands. And when we saw Chicka Ferguson, we were like, oh. He was actually the first grader. It was a big deal, Like seeing him, we're only 10, and Chicka Ferguson, wow, and then he shook all our hands because we lost. That was a big
I remember
deal.
Chicka from these Canberra days, watching the grand finals there and scoring tries at the grand final.
So he was because we were in the Newtown comp, and he was playing for Newtown.
Yeah,
he come from. I can't remember which bush town he came from, but he came to Newtown. He wasn't a young fellow either, if I remember correctly. Like he was in his maybe mid-20s when he started in Sydney.
Played in the 81 grand final, I
Yes,
think.
he did, yeah. And then finished up in 90, I think. 90 grand final.
Yeah.
By that time, he was like 34, 35. He even scored that day. So.
It was very rare in those days, I think, that players were playing for that long. These days, you see a few more players play
because
around
the
that
fitness
age.
level wasn't as high as...
No, obviously not.
But he was a smoker. And he was one of him... When you go back to what you asked me, my favourite player, Eric Grove was blockbusting, but 2 other players I'll give mention to were, as a kid growing up watching, Slippery Steve Morris and Chicka Ferguson. They always happened to beat the first guy all the time, and they both had speed and footwork, They were good to watch. I used to hate watching them, but I appreciate them now as a footy lover. They had, they were great wingers, and whereas Grove used to run over the top of you, them two used to run around you and zigzag their way through, they were good wingers.
Yeah, no, definitely. And shout out to Steve Morris. I think he's doing it a little bit tough at the moment, so shout out to him.
Health-wise?
I think so, yeah. So I think he's on the mend, but just recently I think it was. So shout out to him. We talked about that Tigers game just briefly. What were your memories of that opening game at Combank Stadium, and what are your thoughts on Combank Stadium as well?
Well, I was kind of dirty that day because in my eyes there was nothing wrong with Parramatta Stadium, and I was kind of pissed off that we had to go to Homebush for 2 seasons because we were season ticket holders. We had to give up our seats and then had to go to Homebush for 2 years, and those 2 years were pretty lean. I think we won the Spoon in 18, so 17, 18 we had to go there, and I honestly didn't, because Parramatta was only
was 30 years
old. There you go. And and everything seemed okay. To me, I didn't see a reason why they had to tear it down. But people higher ups obviously thought so, and now it's a state of the art stadium. Which is great. And I honestly think I first went to Penrith in Penrith Stadium in 91, somewhere around there. And I swear to God, to this day, the place is exactly the same. You know what I mean? It's just nothing's changed.
No.
And
the Black Panther scoreboard's gone, but that's probably the only thing.
No. It used to be behind one of the goalposts on a scoreboard there, and they moved it now. It's on top of the I'm sure, unless it's a newer version.
No, yeah. There used to be a massive, big Black Panther.
Yeah, I remember it.
Yeah. I think that's gone now.
It used to be behind one of the goalposts.
Yeah.
But other than that place is exactly the same. And for a team that's won the last three, I reckon if you tear them down, tear down Penrith, and just let them play out of Parramatta for one or two seasons, however long it takes, they'd get 30,000 every week, and as well. I reckon they deserve this area. He deserves a stadium like Parramatta's. Especially when you got a gun side.
I think maybe they're going to get some renovations at the end of this year, I think.
There was talk that they were supposed to be playing out of Parramatta this year. They were supposed to tear down the stadium.
Yeah, because there's a lot of talk about whether they're going to go to the Paceway site or whether they're just going to redevelop the current site. Yeah. And I think they're going to either renovate or redevelop the current site where they are now, and play out of Parramatta. I think it's hard to. I mean, obviously, that stadium, Penrith Stadium, does need an upgrade because, as you said, it's the same 30 years, 40 years.
Hasn't changed.
Hasn't changed. Drive past it most days and you see the old seats that are sitting in the sun for 30, 40 years.
Getting
they started off red. Now they're all
pink.
Yeah. So they definitely do need it, and they probably deserve it. Winning the last three comps and playing in the grand final in 4 years in a row. So
that's another thing that kind of bugs me, because Para's the only team. Ever since St George won that 11 straight, only one team's won 3 in a row, and I was kind of deaf riding the Panthers, but they're a good side, and especially this year after that lead that the Brisbane had in the grand final. You got to take your hat off to them. Great side.
Yeah, that's true. Well, let's go on to Parramatta for 2023. What were your thoughts on their season in 2023?
Had a slow start, and couldn't really get a roll on, like 4, 5, 6 wins in a row at all. They'd win a couple, then lose a couple, and injuries. Had a few injuries. Like Sean Lane, he got injured during a trial match, and came back for a couple of games and got injured again or something. And so he was a big miss. And then on top of that, we'd lost like half of our pack. Stone, Marnie, the guy Kafusi, the one that went to the Sharks, and then the one that went to the Warriors, Nikore. There's four starters out of your pack on. I suppose it was. I don't know. They got better money elsewhere, but it just bugs me. How can they let all that talent go? And how do you think? What do you think's going to happen? They're going to miss the semis. That was a bit upsetting after being runners up the year before, but I don't know. I always said to myself, if I ever win Powerball, I'll do what Nick Politis does, gets all his millionaire friends with brown paper bags, third-party endorsements, and I just stacked aside with winners.
Well, speaking of that, if you had an open checkbook, and you could sign any player from any club, not worrying about contract situations or whatever, who would you sign for Parramatta? Who would you want to see at the club?
Harry Grant.
Okay, yeah.
I hate when Para plays against him because I know what he can do, you know what I mean? And Harry Grant sticks out. I like Cleary, but I don't want to I like Moses too, so I wouldn't dump Moses either. But and then I like Edwards, but I don't want to dump Guffo either. Guffo's not the flashiest fullback, but he's there 110%. Everything he does, he's always there. I wouldn't swap him for anyone.
I like your answer there with Harry Grant. That's certainly...
and maybe some good back rowers. I'm happy with the front row, but we're just trying to think of some back rowers. Martin, that's right. Yes, I've got a friend of mine I always have a bit of banter with. I won't name him, but it's Stephen S. I don't know, that might be too obvious. S. Shields, we'll call him. Yeah, I always said that I'd have Martin out of the Penrith pack. I'd take Martin, 100%. That guy, he's dynamite.
Yeah, no, for sure. Definitely. He's certainly come on leaps and bounds from a few years ago to now represent New South Wales, Australia. Has won comps at Penrith, from Temora, I think, down south. But I like your answer there, Harry Grant. It's certainly sure up the number 9 position, which probably Parramatta haven't been strong in the last few years. Obviously,
I was always happy. I was happy with Marnie.
Yeah, Marnie
but now he's gone. If you ask me who would I get in for him, I'd Grant. I'd move heaven and earth to get Grant there.
Yeah, it certainly would be a relatively decent spine then, having Grant, Moses, Brown and Gutho as well. Well, speaking of that, what are your hopes for season 2024?
First up, get to the semis, because you can't win it from 9s, can you? So and hopefully they break their duck. That's what I hope for that every year, But that's what you have hope.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Brilliant. I think the best thing is just make the semi-finals, and then anything can happen from there. It's week to week, that's for sure. What about coaches over the years? Who have been some of your favourite coaches of Parramatta over the years?
I'll tell you who my least favourite coach would be Smith. Just from I heard that the players didn't like him. Like he used to constantly text and call them at all hours with bullshit, trivial little things. And if I was a player, I wouldn't like that. And what kills me, I used to be a member of when I got on Facebook in 2013, late 13, and the first thing I did was I jumped on all these parasites. And to this day, I'm only a member of one parasite, which is yours, because I'm sick every time when they lose. All these armchair critics come out of the woodwork and sack the coach and this and that and this player and that player, and half these people I reckon never laced on a boot in their life, and all of a sudden they know what the club needs, and just and I just got sick of the hate, so I left them all, and your group is it's the only one that I'm in now. There seems like reasonable, civilised people in there, But I've seen it, and I've talked to people of other clubs, and they say the same thing. Parra's not the only club with dickhead supporters, you know what I mean? There's other clubs that do it as well,
Yeah, for sure.
They get behind the keyboard, and all of a sudden, they just spew hate, and yeah.
Well, just speaking of coaches, do you think Brad Arthur... I mean, I'm a big Brad Arthur fan.
Same here.
Do you think he's under pressure for next year to retain his spot? In terms of if Parramatta don't make the finals, do you think he'll be there in 2025 then?
Well, I reckon... I don't think he's done anything wrong. Like, if you look at his coaching record, when he inherited... I think they won the last 2 spoons or something when he got there. Yep. And if you look at his progress, every year they climb the ladder, and they once they hit the semis, apart from 2018, they're always in the semis, you know what I mean? So, this year was a slip-up, but like I said, with the team that he got inherited, they improved every year, until they got to the semis, and they got to fourth a couple of times, and straight losses, okay, but, that's not his fault. But he got them there, and like I said, apart from 2018 when they won the spoon, they've always been in semi-finalists since 17.
Yeah.
So, what's that? The last 6 years, You know, so I don't see no reason to sack him. But like I said, whenever it just takes one loss and all these idiots come out of the woodwork and they want his head. You know.
Yeah, that's interesting. Always a pressure cooker job. The head coach of Parramatta Eels.
Well, he's their longest serving coach now, isn't he?
Yeah.
No, what does that tell
after
you?
Brian Smith.
You know,
so I think, it's always a pressure cooker job because obviously it's 37
it goes on results.
Years, 37 years since won a premiership. So I think if that drought gets broken, then it's going to be a lot easier position job there anyway. So we'll roll into some personality sort of questions. What I call the quick top 10.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just a simple sort of...
Yeah, I heard this the other day.
Yeah, sort of just a simple yes or no.
Yeah.
And you can elaborate on it if you want to, but we'll start off with cats or dogs.
Dogs.
Ford or Holden?
Ford.
Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Hell no.
Hell no. Okay, strong on
I
that
like
one.
pineapple, but I just don't like them on pizzas and burgers, you know.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. Tea or coffee?
Tea.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Trek.
Rambo or Rocky?
Rocky.
Peanut butter or Vegemite?
Vegemite. Layers of it.
Yeah, the thicker the better?
Oh, yeah. I used to hate it as a child when Mum first introduced like 4 or something. But then, if you keep on having it, it's an acquired taste, you know.
Yes,
and
definitely.
now put on this thick, you know. I love it. Yeah.
I'm the same, mate. The thicker the better. Morning or night person?
Night.
Coke or Pepsi?
Coke Zero.
Coke Zero, yep. Seinfeld or Friends?
Friends.
Okay, yeah. No, a lot of people say Seinfeld. But
Yeah, I don't mind that show, but if you gave me a choice between the two of them, I'll take Friends.
yeah, nice. And we'll wrap things up with the set of 6. Favourite sport outside of rugby league?
I used to live and breathe basketball when I was in high school. We didn't play it in primary school I don't know why, but once we got to high school, then we used to start playing against other schools every week for sport. And the viewers might not know, but I'm 6'5" and I've been this tall since I was 14. So,
Perfect.
so yeah, everyone else was normal around me, and I just stood out and I was scoring gallons of points every game, and I used to love it. Yeah, basketball. I haven't played since then. I played one season when I was 19. Bloke I used to hang around with, his older brother was playing like a 3rd grade at Bankstown somewhere, and I thought, let's see if I still got it, sort of thing. Yeah, and I played one season, but these guys whereas we were winning comps at school, these guys here like it was a 3rd grade comp, and they were straight out of the pub and useless really. They wouldn't run, they'd walk, and I stood out like dog's balls. I was that, you know, they loved me there, but I just didn't like losing. I had the feeling of losing, and so I gave it up after 1 year. But yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Do you watch much basketball these days?
No, I don't get out of my way, you know. But if I got access to the NBA finals and that, yeah, I tune in. I've seen that Michael Jordan Last Dance video. It looks great. But yeah, I heard Luke Longley wasn't quite happy about it because he was in because the Bulls had those two dynasties. They won 3. They weren't there for a couple, then they won the next 3. And Luke Longley was part of that, the second lot.
3,
and all through that video, he never got a mention, and he was an integral part of that team, you know.
Yeah, that's for sure. Favourite holiday destination?
Anywhere tropical.
Yeah. Okay, nice. Who would be the most famous person you'd love to meet and have a chat with?
Paul McCartney.
Okay, yeah. You recently went to his concert.
Yes.
The other day at Allianz Stadium. How was that?
Oh, it's great. I had a VIP ticket. People go, "You paid $1,800 to watch it." I said, "Mate, it was worth it." It was worth it.
Nice. Yeah, so I saw him in 2017, I think it was.
The VIP ticket enabled you to get in early to watch him doing sound check. So he was up there for about half an hour. There was maybe 200 of us. And then after the sound check, they took us upstairs, this is at Allianz, into a suite. And we had 2-course dinner and dessert. And then after that, you went and collected your bag of souvenir goodies. And then down to the show, I was dead set in front, 5 rows back.
Yeah,
so,
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, nah, certainly that would be an experience, that's for sure. But I'm hoping he comes out again, to be honest. But
He's 81 now.
I know.
know.
So he's
The thing was, he came here in '64 with the Beatles. Wasn't born then. He came in '75 with Wings. I was only 3. Then he didn't come until '92 when I was 20. But I was working in Blaney in the sticks.
and played at Parramatta Stadium too. I
Yeah,
think.
but I couldn't. I was stuck out there, and back then you couldn't. There was no going online and getting tickets. You had to park your ass outside a ticket tag. But I was in Sydney. I couldn't do it, and he wasn't playing in the bush venue, so I missed out. And then all the way up to 2000, bang, he came in 2017. I got online, got tickets. I saw him at 2017 at Homebush. And when he came again, I'll see him again. Got tickets again. So, like I said, you never know when it's going to be his last visit.
Well, that's true.
He's a great performer.
That's for sure. That's for sure. What's your specialty dish in the kitchen or on the barbecue? What are you known for?
I'll make an all right seafood marinara, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
I'm no gourmet chef, but yeah, I like seafood marinara.
Nice. I usually ask the players which 3 former players wouldn't they want to be stuck on an island with and why. But I'll change it up. Which players, or which current Eels players wouldn't you want to be stuck on an island with, and why don't you think you want to be?
Oh, I don't really hate. I don't really hate any of them, and I don't know what they're like.
Yeah.
I could say I'll just kind of change that thing. I met when I was 17. I was playing for Leichhardt Juniors, and after training, we went back to the Orange Grove Hotel, and who should be there was Warren Ryan, because he'd moved over to the Tigers then, and most of the team were sitting there with him, and there was about 3 or 4 of us that were Belmore boys. So we went over, "Hey sir, how's it going?" I remember Michael Pobji, "Sir," and he goes, "Yeah, I used to coach, I used to teach these guys." And we had a quick chat with Warren Ryan, and right, I'll see you later. We went back and sat at a table, and our trainer comes over, and he comes over to me. He goes, "Come meet Blocker Roach." I've gone, "Oh no, I don't know what I wanted to say. Come on." And I went over, "Hey Blocker," and introduced me, and he stood up. It was maybe a couple of inches shorter than me, but I'll never forget this bloody chest.
Yeah.
He had this barrel chest, and I remember the first thing thinking, imagine having to tackle this guy,
Yeah.
Because I thought I was 105, 10 kilos then, but this guy was just solid, thick, obviously first grade Australian footballer, He was nice. We had a chat for a couple of minutes. I think he bought me an orange juice. And,
Oh, nice.
and I
Good on you, Blocker. Shout out the Blocker.
Yeah, and he might not remember me. I don't know, but that's what's of all the famous people, first graders I met and had to talk to, was him. And I remember I went back and I wouldn't shut up for weeks about it. I thought it was a big deal. I was stoked.
Well, yeah, he bought you an orange juice. He had a chat.
Oh, just because I was the biggest player in the side, and my trainer's like, "Yeah, come meet Blocker," and I just, like I said, I'll never forget just the thickness of his barrel chest. This guy's huge.
I'm hoping to get Blocker on the podcast one day, so that'll be a great chat.
Yeah.
Well, this question will probably be the last question. Will probably be the easiest question of all day because you're wearing a band shirt. Who is your favourite band or solo artist to listen to?
Beatles and AC/DC. I know people say you got one and the other. The contrast is so different, but the Eels, the Beatles play some heavy stuff too. AC/DC is just hard rock constantly, but the Beatles, they've mixed it up and done many genres, But them two, I like the AC/DC and Beatles at the top, I'd say. But then for my taste in music, I love the 60s and 70s era. Like anything out of there, Fleetwood Mac and Rolling Stones, all that era back then is what I prefer. Classic rock, if that's what you want to say.
Yeah,
call
okay.
it. I prefer classic rock.
Yeah, Yeah, I watched a documentary on the Bee Gees last night. It was not too bad. Interesting to see their travels through the early, or I guess late 60s, 70s.
Where'd you watch this on?
Channel 9. Channel 9 last night.
Okay.
Yeah, it was quite interesting and yeah, something to watch. And they did a bit of time out here in Australia, up at Redcliffe as well. So they got the Bee Gees Lane up at Redcliffe. So all like statues and songs playing and facts about the songs. It's not a bad place to go. Shout out to Watch Your Team up there at Redcliffe as well. That's right there. I went to Bee Gees Lane. They showed me that when I went up there one day and showed it. What's your favourite? This will be a hard question. What's your favourite Beatles song then?
There's too many to choose from, really. But if you want to pick one, Helter Skelter.
Okay.
That's probably the heaviest song they did. They reckon people are saying that Helter Skelter was the birth of heavy metal.
Yeah.
From once that song came out, then not long after that, Black Sabbath and all these heavy metals groups started popping up. And if you listen to it, it's really heavily distorted and it's a heavy rocker.
Did Paul play it the other week?
Yes.
He did.
Yes,
Nice.
because when I was at the concert, I a friend of mine on my he's from Adelaide. Originally, he's up in Queensland now, and because Paul played Adelaide first, my friend got a hold of the song list and he posted it on Facebook. So I took a snapshot, screenshot. So I knew which songs were coming.
Yeah.
That's when I knew when to record. And Helter Skelter was I live streamed. All the songs that I taped, I live streamed on Facebook. I knew when they were coming, so I was there ready to go. And Helter Skelter was one of them. Yeah, he did it towards the end.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think the Beatles would be still together if they were all still alive?
Probably not.
No.
Nah, but just they'd gone full circle, and
do you think they would have done like a reunion concert or something like that?
Throughout the 70s, they were getting peppered with that question, and a lot of them said, yeah, if the others would, sort of thing. They had nothing against it because by that time tensions had eased, and they got rid of that Klein who was trying to rip them off, and they got their money back and that, and but once John was murdered, that was it. That kind of put the kibosh on it. It's not going to happen. And, they came, they went, and just enjoy what they left us. Really,
That's it. Bit of off track there to end the conversation.
No,
a little bit off track, but that's all right. Always good to talk about the Beatles. They're a great band as well. Well, Anton, thank you very much for joining me today here in the Parra Cave for a chat about your support of rugby league and also the Parramatta Eels as well, a club that we both love to support, and hopefully one day we'll get to another game together. We've been to a couple, I think, and we've been to a function at Parramatta Leagues Club together.
Breakfast, yeah.
Yeah, so no doubt we'll catch up again at a game. So thank you very much for joining me on the Parra Cave podcast today.
Thanks, Troy. Next year's our year, mate.
How you going, mate? Are you a Parra Cave podcast listener?
I am, bro. It's a great podcast. Everyone tune in.
Well, welcome back, and thanks for listening to Anton and his rugby league supporting story of the Parramatta Eels and rugby league in general as well. There was certainly some great memories brought up there of players and games and the like, so I really appreciate Anton coming out to the Parra Cave and doing that interview. I hope you enjoyed your visit and the chat as well, so thank you very much, Anton, and no doubt we will catch up at a game in 2024, that's for sure, be it a Parramatta Eels game against the Panthers or any other side at CommBank Stadium. So looking forward to that catch up as well. Now, the Parra Cave podcast merchandise is still available as well. So Parra Cave podcast hats, $10 each plus postage and handling. Great Secret Santa present, I reckon. nice price point there, and all you have to do is just send me a message on the social media channels, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whichever one you're on, and just search the Parrot Cave Podcast and send me a message on that one, and we'll get that organised and sent out to you as quick as possible. Thank you very much to those that have purchased a hat in the past. I really appreciate your support. It helps the podcast grow and also get recognised out there in the marketplace. So thank you very much to those that have purchased a hat. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me, your support. So also from BTZD Clothing, there is 2 or 3 polo shirts left. I think there is 1 XL and 2 larges, I think. So $25 each for the polo shirts. So same deal. Just message me on social media and we'll see what we can do to get that out to you as quick as possible. $25 plus postage and handling. Now, the sponsors of the podcast, a huge thank you to them as well. As I said, appreciate your support. It helps the podcast grow and bring you quality entertainment each week. Major sponsor, Jack's Pale Ale, exclusively available at Parramatta Leagues Club in the club shop. Also, Beau Cook from Loan Market, your local Penrith mortgage expert. Contact Beau today on 0401 213 236. Get in contact with him for a free chat and see what Beau and his team can do for you, and let him know that you heard it here on the Parrot Cave Podcast. Shannon Cooney from Glenmore Park Realty. If you're thinking of selling or buying in the Glenmore Park or the suburbs in the Penrith LGA, then contact Shannon, a 5-star real estate agent. Contact him 7 days a week on 0421 588 445. BTZD Teamwear, as I said, the suppliers of the polo shirts, Parrot Cave Podcast polo shirts. Head to www.btzd.com.au. Check out what they can do for you and your sports team. And once again, please let them know that you heard it here on the Parrot Cave Podcast. And thank you to you, the listener, for listening to the podcast, each and every podcast that comes out during the weeks. I really appreciate the support and the listenership. It means a lot to me that I put out this content and that you guys listen to it and share it. I really appreciate it. It means a lot. There's a couple of weeks to go of the podcast, so stay tuned for that one. A couple of more interviews coming your way, and during the off season, December, January, I'll be recording some more as well to get some content for next year when I kick it back off in February as well. So stay tuned for that one. But of course, I'll be active on social media as well, so you can catch me on social media as well, posting some podcast related stuff as well. Also, there will be obviously there is the podcast in the Apple and Spotify libraries as well, so go back, and if you've missed an episode, please go and have a listen back to some of them. The whole catalogue is there, so some great interviews there with legends of rugby league and also fans of rugby league as well, so check that one out as well. And as I said, it'll be finishing up in a couple of weeks' time, but if anything comes out really, really special, who knows, there might be a special podcast come out here and there, so stay tuned to the social media channels as well. So thank you once again for the support. I really, really appreciate it. Don't forget to like and share and join the social media channels as well. Follow the podcast on the social media channels. Really, really appreciate it. Have a great week as best you can, and make sure you follow the podcast on the social media channels for some interesting content and see who's coming up next. Some interesting guests coming your way over the next couple of weeks whilst it's season 2023. But to sign off the show, and as I always say, the Para Cave podcast, by the fan, for the fans. Go Para!
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Parramatta Podcast. See you next time.